Hey guys, welcome to another video. Now, seeing as though I'm not well and it's videos that are low energy, I'll do the best I can to bring you something interesting, which is very difficult, and I do apologize. I'm going to get a chewy. Oh, you know what? Oh dear, you know what I forgot to do? I need man strength. Okay, let's see if I can have some human strength. So far, not so good. Okay, so the topic today is disability. My hair did something weird then. Basically, disability. Disability supports, disability ways of living, disability choices of the way they live their life, whether it's we're going to do some, like operation. Let's play the game operation, okay? All right, you ready? What I do is I get my magic little toolbox here that I'm pretty singing. What have I got? Oh, I've got this. Okay. Let's do the magic. All right. You get a little bit. Hold that cap in one line. See, you don't need a man. You need man tools though. Sorry. You're not going to get away. Okay, that goes in bin. That goes up there. That, oh my gosh, so much executive functioning to be done. It's too early in the morning for this. Okay, that was just my table of, alright, chewy. I get dry mouth from medicines. Okay. Now that crisis has been averted, close drawer before walking towards drawer, right? Sensible. Ouch, I just knocked my leg. That's going to be another bruise. And Sir's going to say, where'd you get that bruise? And I'll say, I don't know. I don't remember hitting my leg. Note, I just hit my leg. So if I forget, don't be surprised if I ask you all, where did I hit what part of the body? Because Sir saw a bruise. It's the leg. It's the... Okay, that's my right side. Left side of the calf. Calf. You know what? These seizures have made me lose so many brain cells. Calf. I have no idea. I've regressed. Congratulations. Yay. I've had a lot of regressions actually. It's amazing I'm alive. Especially without medical care. Well, you guys are probably thinking, you get medical care. I saw you in hospital. I know. But is it efficient? Is it effective? Is it doing all of my problems because I'm a multi-systemic person because I have 22Q? No. No 22Q specialist. No check-sees on everything. They send you home sick in Australia. It's a novel thing. Well, the nurses aren't happy about it, but it happens. It happens. Beautiful singing. So basically, he gets sicker in life. Okay, between that bloody washing machine and the birds, my head is going to explode. I'm sensory overload. Enough. Pretty singing can just... No nice. Okay. Every time I talk, that's going to happen. Sorry if you're autistic too and you're having a high sensory sensitivity day and you just want to pull your hair out because you're like, literally like, I'm holding it together by a thread. I am. I'm about to go sit in a very dark bathroom and I wrap the shower curtain around me. It's weird, I know, but it's my safe place. I actually need some more padding, so I must get some more squishmallows. Good excuse to get some more squishmallows. But I'm having one of those days. I'm in a lot of pain, physically. I have a super grade UTI, 3.5 years in running. Guinness Book of World Records. Here I come. Yep. Do you do UTIs? Guinness Book of World Records. Hi. Yeah, I'm in Australia. The place no one knows about, Perth, Western Australia, no one really knows about us. And I actually think we're like the second prettiest place because Queensland takes the cake. And you people, you all know it. All of you in Australia know it. Even you, Cam, don't you say Tassie just because you live there. I'm not saying it's not pretty, but I'm just saying Queensland's number 1. Western Australia's number 2. Oh, it's going to be a war. And anyone from Victoria, I'm joking to those who are in Victoria, who are my followers. It is just an ongoing joke. My family, my dad's side of the family, came from Victoria a long time ago. Okay? So don't worry. It's all cool. We're just jealous because we didn't get, like, we had waffle before we got the AFL. And anyway, Cam wants to know the dirt on that. So before we go on to the actual other stuff, because seeing as though it's a podcast, because Dyan is sick with Dyan podcast. Right, let's begin. So, my grandfather was a lover of AFL football. Okay? Other side of the family, it was more rugby because of South Africa, right? But anyway, I grew up with the passion of AFL. Forced. Had no choice. No choice. I had to learn to kick a footy because I was damned if I was going to let my brother be the only one to kick a good kick with a football. Right, competition. Bring it. The dancer is going to kick the footy, and a West Perth player taught me to kick a torpedo. And at the beginning, we thought it wasn't going to happen, and he kept showing me, and my dad was cheering it on, and I was like, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this, because my brother mastered it a few times. I was like, yeah, well, I'm going to get it, and I'm going to practice and practice and practice and practice and practice, just like my dance teachers. They'd go, you now can do the time step. Because the time before I'd been there, I couldn't. Now, I wasn't one of many words, we all know, but we had this, all of these people in my life, we had a very telepathic relationship. Okay, we had an understanding. But basically, yeah, like they'd notice, so, because when I used to learn dance, it was like, time step, I can't get this right. I keep starting with my left foot sometimes even. It's like, this is stupid. And then I'd come back next class and I'm like, ooh, and the teacher's like, the fuck? That kid's amazing. Practice. That's all it is. When you can't do something the most, it makes you more determined. And it was the same with the footballs, like, but I was very good at sports at school. It's actually in my genetics. 23andMe said so. I know, right? Like, if I had to hunt, I would do well at it. Got a good aim. And it's true. When I was at school, ball sports, I was very good at. All about the balls. Anyway, Cam, sorry. It's not just for Cam, but I'm just saying, Cam wants this story. I ended up kicking a torpedo and doing great at it. You should have seen me at my son's football when, I don't think he was quite rapt that his mum's kicking a footy. I think he was a bit embarrassed. But, like, I was kicking torpedoes and all these men were like, who's this mum kicking torpedo? Whoa, that was hot. Whoa. And they'd watch my ball go, whoa. And they'd be quite impressed. And I'm like, yeah, you don't know. Anyway, West Perth. We used to go with my grandfather to watch them train and hang out. Never understood why I wasn't allowed in the locker room, but I'm now an adult. Completely understand. Completely. Had an argument with my father in the hallway. Why? No, I mean, like, I need deets. No, you don't need details. No details were required. He was right. Anyway, I could smell the deep heat though. Whew. Ridiculous. But my brother and him went in and I just stand out there in my dress. I used to kick a footy in black shiny shoes and a dress. Oh, and I did it good. But anyway, my grandfather was treasurer for the West Perth Football Club for a very long time. Because he was an accountant. And accountants make good treasurers, don't they? And my grandfather retired young because he made money. He was a self-made millionaire. I'm very proud of him. He didn't do it for the money. He did it because he grew up in the Great Australian Depression, and he didn't want to struggle with his family like he did watch his mother and father struggle with them. There was 4 kids. So his determination, which I'm very proud of him about, with having a good work ethic, studying hard, being an accountant, and becoming a self-made millionaire by making good choices, I guess, in business, and just having that smart brain. Because back then, guys, it's not like it is now where people just buy houses and shit. That's cheating, really. I mean, yes, you're an investor. Okay, I get it. You're rich. And I'm happy for people that are rich. Just not the assholes. But that could be about poor people too. There's many poor people that are assholes. But I'm just saying, like, he did it out of smarts, right? He had to work hard and work smarter, not harder. And he was one of those. He was someone that took life seriously, in the sense that he was a very responsible person. And I really admired that trait about him, sincerely. And I used to be very proud of seeing him in his role of being treasurer of West Perth. And I was very proud to be connected to West Perth so strongly. And it was quite sad when AFL came, because the waffle just kind of disappeared. And they took all our players into the West Coast Eagles and other players from, you know, whether it's Claremont or here or there or what. There's many. In the waffle, I don't even know how many. Is there 12? Less than 12? I don't know. But basically, they would have taken the best of players from each and created the Eagles. West Coast Eagles is WA's first AFL club. So naturally, I'm a West Coast Eagles girl. Even though I'm on the south here of Perth, does not mean that I'm a Dockers fan. Sorry to people in South Perth. Sorry, but not sorry. Not sorry, okay? Because West Coast Eagles was the first AFL team, and I just like them. And I cheerleaded for them. So, they're going to be my favourite. No, I didn't get to meet them because I was a minor. You're not allowed to meet them. But anyway, my experience, if you want to know too, Cam, with the West Coast Eagles, before we went out there for our performance, we had to cheer them on as they came out of the dugout things, you know, the big concrete walkway. And we had to stand with our backs onto the wall. And who's on the backs of the wall? All of the stadium, right? All the people. And they're all cheering and doing the wave and everything else. I'm leaning on the concrete, and as an autistic, I was like, even a friend next to me was like, "You okay?" And I'm like, "That's loud. Like I can feel this." And so she pushed herself against the wall, and she's like, "Yeah, I get what you're saying," but she thought I was weird, right? But I'm like, I can feel the vibe. I was pumped that I forgot to look at most of them, which was such a shame. But anyway, a 16-year-old, I'm like, these football players, oh, jeez. And the shorts were a lot tighter back then. They were tight. It was like they were painted on. They're now baggy. It's like, but that's okay, because it's not the same anymore, because they're younger than my sons now, probably most of them. Ew. So basically, I was 16 when I did that, or 15 I could have been. I'm not quite sure. It's very hard to pinpoint everything, but that was fun. That was fun. We went out there and pom-pommed and stuff. I don't even remember the routine, actually. But yeah. And then my son, both of them at different times, pretty sure it was both of them. Either was one of them twice or both of them did, in the middle of the West Coast Eagles game, did their Oz kick. Oh, Mummy was so proud. Oh my gosh, I was a pathetic mum. Absolutely. I mean, my son stuck cereal boxes together and he called it a robot, and I thought it was the best thing ever. I thought genius, because it looked like a robot. I think he's a genius. And same with my youngest. I mean, genius. Anyway, but I was one of those mums. It was like, it didn't matter what they did. But anyway, my youngest is more of an intellect. My eldest was a very good football player. He was like, the coach would be like, what do you do to him? Our gentle giant, Cam, Cam, his name's Cam too. He comes here, he's gentle, because he is. He's a very gentle, he's 6 foot, but he's very gentle, soft-hearted, very self-confident, but just keeps man of very little words, although sometimes not. But they're like, when he turns up to the game, he's like, and I'm like, they're like, do you lock him in a shed and not feed him the night before? That's what all the parents were saying. And I'm like, no, I actually give him a really good pasta meal, because he tells me, Mum, I got to have my carbs. I need to have my carbs. I've got footy tomorrow. So I'm like, I've got you covered, son. Here's the lasagna or spaghetti bolognese. Anyway, it's pretty cute. My other one, he's an intellect. He's a philosopher. Very good with, the way his brain works. Like, he needs to be in a communications job, I reckon, right? Or a caring job where it's complex care, because his brain is just, he can think fast like his father. Whereas our eldest and me, we're like, hang on, slow it down. We both have auditory processing disorder. So one thing at a time. Shut the fuck up. One thing, please. Just, we get overwhelmed. So it's like, no, it's one thing. I don't want to talk about the second thing. But, yeah. Like, the second one, he'd be like, the ball's happening up the other end, and because that's happening up the other end, rather than be waiting for it when it comes back to the other end of the football field, even though they make it small in Auskick, he's sitting on the grass, legs folded, talking to his mate, facing the other way. Doesn't even know when the ball's going to come back. I'm like, hey, his name's Jordan. I call him Jord. Jord, up. At least stand up. The ball over there. And he's like, he looks at me and smiles. He always likes to know that I'm just there, but he's very independent little dude, like very independent. I do it myself. It's always like that. And it's like, dude, you need to be A, standing up, B, looking that way. And then the ball comes and he just watches for someone else to get it. And I'm just like, oh, okay, this one's not the football player. Now, of course, as he got older, he got into sports. This is tiny. This is Auskick. This is like 6 to, is it 9, 8? I don't know. But very, very good though. Very good way to start footy. But I'm just saying, like, I could tell. So Scouts he did better out because there was a bit more stuff that you could learn and do and explore. And he just wanted the brain activity, I think, And of course, lots of socialising's involved in that. Whereas I was a bit like my eldest. Dancing, you don't have to socialise. You have to, especially when you're in the performance group, you have to focus on just learning thousands of routines, nailing them, and getting out on stage, off stage, on stage, off stage, on stage. I didn't have to socialize. It was great. And I think he liked it for that reason. You're on the field, you're there to play. He wasn't off the field very often because he was such a good player. But basically, yeah, like, how did we get to that? Football. So yeah, I encouraged AFL in both my kids. Now, the fact that my younger one didn't get that keen in it, I was never going to force it. I just don't believe that just because it's a thing in me and in my family or whatever, that I was going to force it. Same with, dancing. Like, if I had a daughter, I wouldn't have forced it. I would have recommended it. I would have mentioned it. I would have given the opportunity. But I wouldn't have been that kind of person of like, right, straight away, you're 2 years old, first daughter, in dancing. No, like, there's got to be a joint spark there of like, hey, I find it's a really good thing to do. Do you want to give it a go? The child's got to want it. And I was the same with my boys. So, but my eldest was AFL die hard. And I don't know, like, I think, things do change and you get older and it goes away. But I still think that deep down in him, it's there. That passion is there. But I think that he's so work focused, being an autistic hyper focus. He's got a very good job too. So it's like, it probably does consume him a lot, which isn't a bad thing because he's very successful at what he does. And as an autistic, I've always seen that in him, and I'm the same. Like, you can only have one major hyper focus at one time, guys. And also, he's got the perfectionistic. Both my sons take after Sarah and I. We both have problems with perfectionism and OCD. We all have that. And so do our sons. And it's really debilitating sometimes because the pressure we put on ourselves is way higher than anyone else could put on us. So that, you have to be careful with, because I worry about that with my son, is that like the perfectionism that does stop you from having multiple special interests that you really deep dive in, because if you can't do something properly, you don't want to do it. But anyway, so that's the tea on the football, right? And so anyway, he was well known. His name was Raymond Ernest Moore. He liked Winston Churchill. His sausage dog was called Winston. I traumatized the dog by nearly drowning when I was a little kid. So the dog didn't like me swimming in the pool. So when I was swimming in the pool, he'd bark his head off. And I'd get out the pool, he'd stop barking. So it became a bit of a game between me and the dog. Didn't realize I was torturing the dog. Feel really guilty as an adult. But I'd jump in because there was all these stairs. Because it was like quite a large pool, diving board one end and stairs at the other. And I would walk down the stairs, up the stairs, down the stairs, and the dog would bark, not bark, bark, not bark, depending on whether I was in the water or out of the water. The guilt is real, okay? I loved that Winston. But yes, he would bark. And you know what? It's even my fault, because Pa would roll up his newspaper and go smack, smack, smack on Winston's bum. My fault. The shame and guilt that I still feel for that animal, my fault. I mean, I'm the person that went in the pool in the first place and nearly drowned. That's my fault. Well, I was 2 years old. It's not really. But basically, I was a water person, a typical autistic. If there's water, I'm in. Doesn't matter how dirty. I used to swim in dams. That's disgusting. Think about it. Anyway, if there was water, I was in. It's a bit of a worry. But, right. So, now let's talk about, anyway, salute all you AFL people. Let's just salute my grandfather. I'm very proud of him. he was a wonderful human in every shape and form, and very, very autistic. Very autistic. So autistic. Yeah. Yeah, it's quite funny. Quite funny. Yeah. It's interesting where it comes from. It's both my grandfathers, but anyway. Maybe I'm too close to it to see any other family members, but there's a few. Yes, his life expectancy he didn't reach either, nor did one of my uncles. Actually, I should say another 3 of my uncles that I suspect, like their father, were on the spectrum. I think one was ADHD and died of alcoholism, and another one was autistic and chose to leave, and another one just got sick and passed. Now, whether that's the truth, I don't even know. All autistic in my eyes. Okay? Like, I know my stuff, because I am one. And the bond was real with all those people and me. There was a different bond. And, of course, with their father being very autistic. I like it. Really autistic. Really autistic. I don't know how my family aren't looking at it now and laughing and going, oh my goodness, Pa Kettle was 100% autistic. He was a square bear. He had his rules. Oh my God, the list of rules. He'd have to write a book. To know Pa's rules would be like, Pa, I need a book because the list is long. Okay, so carers. Well, I guess if it's not heading that way, what's the point going that way? But I was going to list the important things that carers should know about autistics. It's quite a lot, really. But anyway, I just wanted to share the AFL stuff. And it does connect to the generalized anxiety, autism. I said that about artist and autist. I cannot speak. So anything that starts with an A, I did it last night too. I talked about something that, and I said to Sir, look, that happened because they both start with an A. And he just looked at me as if that's just not going to fly. And I'm like, I know it doesn't make any sense, but I'm just trying to make my broken brain that's saying wrong words in the wrong places, I'm trying to normalize it. Just go with it. He wasn't having it. He's like, just because it starts with an A doesn't make it that it makes sense. Okay? Your brain is broken. I was like, yeah, you're not wrong. Okay, so basically, autism runs in families. If you don't know, the research is already pointing that way with correlations at this point. And with me, I've already done my genetics and it's strong in autism, and Asperger's is amber. Okay, that's DNA. That's scientific people working on specific genes they're looking at for autism. So soon it'll be even more fine-tuned. But yeah, when I had I spoke to someone about my genetics, which is supposed to be my genetic counselling. I only bothered with one session because he was such a tool. And sorry, but he was. And basically, he just said, like, even if you didn't have 22q, which is the causation probably of your autism and ADHD, but even without that, looking at these, how strong autism was on one side of my family, you probably would have been autistic anyway. And I was like, okay, makes sense. And I kind of agree with him. I think that I am, compared to other 22Qers, kind of more strong in the autism. When I look at my childhood, I realize how strong in the autism I am. And it's hard to admit that. And I know a lot of people out there think, oh, us high functioning love to admit it. No, there's a lot of shame. There's a lot of trauma in that. Like the things that I used to do that are weird that we can laugh about now. We can laugh about eating foam and cement. We can laugh at up to age 13. We can laugh about wetting the bed, whatever. We can laugh about a speech impediment. We can laugh about stuttering. We can laugh about, you know, saying and doing funny things because they didn't understand things. It's entertaining. I still entertain people with it. And I laugh with them genuinely. But if you don't think that sometimes I sit down and I reflect and I go, you know, it actually does hurt that I'm that stupid. I'm glad it's entertaining, don't get me wrong. I'm glad that my immaturity in what I like makes people think that my room is playful and cool, but not all the time. When you feel like you wish that you evolved and that you weren't socially, mentally restricted because your brain didn't develop, I still am sad about that. That I didn't have that growth. It never eventuated. People only think that about extreme cases of IDD, and they don't look at people with IDD that sometimes when it's less than, we get mocked more because it's like, you can do better because you can speak. It's just not true. We have things that can be mocked, and I've laughed at them and I'll continue to, and I'll always cope with that. But just know that there are times when I sit down and that I wish that I could be different to that, normal. That I hope my kids don't feel shame about who I am and how I appear. Because maybe I'm not the mum image. I know they love me, I love them, that's not the question. There's no doubt. Like I said, you know, I've always had regular emails saying that they love me. I know they love me. But I'm just saying that if you don't think that I worry, that yes, and that also I don't want to be for them a mature mum, not a socially immature mum because I never developed because of my 22q. It hurts. But I am who I am. And it does hurt. Because I understand if they don't accept it. I don't blame them if they don't accept it. Because the world, like, I can live in my bubble, like Tony Atwood would say. You know, the autistic is only really autistic when they leave their house. And the judgment of the world starts happening. And that's when you feel the difference. The judgments. And it's hard. Because those judgments can be really harsh. And misguided. Misunderstood. And that upsets me. Because like I said, there's enough shame in growing up autistic. There's a lot of trauma growing up autistic. I know there's other content creators out there who are comedians, and I shout out to them, and I hope that some of them watch me. And I hope that you can learn to speak out more about this. Why are us autistics always using comedy to be ourselves and join in with the bullying and the ridiculing of ourselves to fit in? When are we going to talk about that? When are we going to talk about the fact that we love sharing our personality on camera because we can't be comfortable around people because we're autistic? We prefer to be alone. It's not antisocial, it's autism. And that we feel guilt because we know that others desire connection with us. And it's really difficult because we know that it's not socially acceptable to be like that. When are we going to talk about that? How it's really hard to be around people. It's really draining. It's really exhausting. It's really hard because we have to operate at a really high level to keep up with normal people. I know we talk about autism, burnout, but before that, and also us 50-year-olds who just can't be bothered doing it anymore for other people's comfort. When we have to work so hard to make people feel comfortable, and they're not working hard to make us comfortable. They just show up because they're not autistic. It's different. But out of that shame of growing up, having developmental delays, having lots of issues, and having to grow up and joke about it, it's a coping mechanism, guys. And we all know this. We don't talk about it enough. That's why a lot of comedians are autistic. Because the only way without feeling the pain unnecessarily, repetitively, from the traumas of growing up autistic, even in our adult development, is to joke about it. It's more tolerable for us. And we do laugh at ourselves. It is easy to laugh at ourselves because we don't care what others think about us. We don't even care what we think about ourselves. Now look, that doesn't mean I don't have ethics and morals. That does matter to me. But what I mean is, if someone doesn't like my personality, I don't give a shit. I'm not on this earth to look good for someone or to entertain someone or to make them feel a certain way. Now, I certainly won't make someone feel bad about themselves. I'm not that kind of person, but I'm not here to make someone feel great. So when I compliment you, know that it's a genuine compliment because I don't just do it to make someone feel good. I say things when I see things if I like something. So never forget that. The honesty of an autistic can be a curse though. So younger autistics, be cautious. I know it's so easy just to say how we feel and be honest about all of it. But normal people use it against you at some point. Apparently telling the truth is sometimes the wrong thing to do. I still disagree. But that's the socially acceptable rule, okay? We're the minority. 2 seconds. Sorry, guys. Frushmad. Gotta catch my breath. My heart rate. I've been wearing the watch lately because my heart is just crap. Crap because of the UTI. It's stressing out. My heart is stressed. And going to the toilet, a heart rate just goes up to 110 to 120. So, too unwell to travel. Nurses, you know, like I said, didn't want to send me home. They're like, we don't like seeing people home sick. I'm like, I don't like going home still sick. But with all the games that the hospital's playing, God, it was a funny one this week. How many people does it take to get hold of someone called the Connect team that's meant to connect people? How long? 2 months. 2.5 months, actually. Yeah. And only with, you know, certain people attached to email. It's such a game. It's like, guilty much? Guilty much? Yeah, a little bit. They still can't swallow it. They can't swallow so many truths about me. This is what happens when evil people lie. They can't swallow the truth later on. It gets like real bit stuck in the throat. So yeah, what were we talking about before I left? So anyway, any autistic creators out there, start talking about, look, I don't want to like blow the secret on us, because coping mechanisms work, and that's why we use them, right? And keep using it. I will. Okay, I grew up with a grandfather who grew up in Scotland. Banter is funny. Okay, it's a way to cope. Being quirky is good. Okay, I was lucky I grew up around autistics, because they didn't care. They didn't care. Okay, my Uncle Andrew would walk out all the time wearing the wrong colours, and we'd all go, what the hell are you wearing? He's like, what's the problem with it? Though you're colourblind. You're colourblind. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. Actually, I'm slightly colourblind. I'm still debating it, because do girls really get it? But someone, sir, keeps insisting I am. And I know it's strong in my family. Because my uncle was in the Air Force and he wanted to be a pilot, and he's colourblind. My brother's colourblind. He wanted to go into the Air Force. And I'm telling you, I love planes. Anyway, that's got me distracted. This aviation thing on TikTok, oh my God, it's a channel, and all it is planes just flying over you, and I'm just like, I'm in heaven. I go on that channel, right? I'm like a puppy dog that just watches a tennis ball, like Tub and Blue, who just sit there watching the tennis ball in the water. I am a golden retriever. Yeah, I get excited about watching a plane. I'm like, whoa, did you fucking see that? And then they show it twice. That's what I love about that channel. They show it twice. They show it straight away when you flick onto a video. They show it. And then you get all excited and you're like, whoa. And it's as if I'm there. It's as if I'm there, but I'm not there. And then it's like, I wait, right? Because it's like, right, it's coming. I can see it. Because they repeat it. But they repeat it when you got to watch it from further away. Best channel ever. Anyway, if you're an autistic and you like planes, comment below. I'll try and find the channel name if you want to. Let me know. This is turning into an autism conversation. But yes, I embrace my quirkiness because the autistics in the family did not care. Did not care what others would say or think about them. And unfortunately, I used to care when I was a kid and teenager, but I think that's normal. It's a bit of a trick, that one, because I've got two parents that are perfectionists, two parents that made me extremely self-conscious of everything, how I looked, how I acted, everything. That's not healthy, by the way. It's not healthy. So yeah, that made me think. And then when I got older, I was like, I don't care. And that disappointed my mum. My mum was like, oh, you're so embarrassing. You need to care. I don't care. So you can just imagine why she doesn't like me. Because I don't care. I don't care. Okay? I'm not hurting anyone. I'm not hurting myself. I don't care. Okay? I'm not a puppet, and I'm not going to act like a performing seal. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to hide my quirks. I'm not going to hide my stims or whatever I do. I'm not going to hide it. The fact that I used to say things 3 times. I'm sorry that hit you. I was in my 20s. I sometimes still do it, but not often. I say things 3 times. Really badly in my early 20s, and it's very embarrassing looking back. Because it's echolalia, and it was embarrassing back then. Like I said, things aren't in my generation like it is for a lot of you now. And I used to get told off for doing it. I had no control. So imagine being told off for something you can't control. It was very hard. I mean, growing up, stimming, I would be smacked for. Okay, so it was very difficult for me. Very, very difficult for something that's not controllable. Even my sensory seeking behaviors of pulling things apart and being destructive when that wasn't my goal. My autism mind was making me do behaviors that were bad, but that was the autism. That was my way of playing and engaging with the world, right? But there was no understanding of autism, so I would get punished. And it's not that I hold major grudges for people not knowing. If people don't know, they don't know. It's just traumatizing nonetheless, because I never intended on doing harm to things, you know. Sorry. Never intended on doing harm to things, and that's why it's hard to, but sorry, that just hit me hard. But I used to get told off in front of other people in my 20s. I was a mother myself for repeating things 3 times. So even watching videos of me with my babies is traumatizing. I love seeing them. I watch it in silence now, because all I hear, and maybe one day if I'm brave, I'll share that moment, or try and find a few moments of those videos to share, or even if it's just the audio, if I want to protect my son's privacy, for both of my sons, then it might just be audio, but it was embarrassing. Echolalia, these days, people don't tend to be treated like that, for that. So I really hope young people can really understand that you've got it. I'm not saying you've got it the best. I'm not saying that things are great, but we're going a direction that's good. And it's only going to get better. But when I was a kid, I wish I had the learnings, teachings that you guys have, because I would have done better sooner. I would have possibly be doing better than I am doing now. I don't know. Could be. Nonetheless, there's no excuse for berating a family member, whether you know it's a disability or not. Even though my family knew there was something majorly wrong with me. So don't also think that that wasn't a thing. They knew that something was majorly wrong with me, but they didn't want to face it. They didn't want to explore it, because let's just say the offer from the medical system was there. I was there. Compared to with my children, straight away. Any problem, straight away. Assessments, whatever had to be done, was done. My younger son, eldest, was diagnosed at 3.5. And yet you wouldn't know it now, because of the hard work that I put in at making sure that he got the social model towards his autism, not the medical model towards the autism. That was my choice. I luckily was studying social welfare and human development, child intervention, behavioural intervention, all of these serious things, right, that were really, really pertinent right at that point when my children were at their like growth years of toddlerhood and learning, engaging with the world, and me learning how to teach them to learn, discipline, understand the world around them, and watching their development in comparison with the norm. Lucky for me that between me and a pediatrician, that worked well together. However, I was not expecting my child to be on the spectrum, but that was my first child. When it's your first child, guys, you don't have a comparison. And I just thought that was normal, that every kid develops at a different phase, like it says in the baby books. But it's a professional that needs to tell you more than that, because it's more complex than that. It's not black and white. And also, I didn't even realize my youngest was saying words at 8 months and 9 months. At 9 months, he was putting 2 words together. So I had one kid didn't speak for nearly 3 years, and another kid that spoke at 7 to 8 months. 8 to 9 months. Big difference, right? And that could be just how life is for some families. But yeah, one had ADHD and one had autism and ADD. And no, I did not put him on medicine, but in those days they were forcing it. I said, I'm not putting my 3-year-old on medicine. Shove it up your butt. No, I said it very respectfully and nicely. But she harassed me, she bullied me, and I said, no, I will not put my child on speed. Thank you. It's a little wrong, okay? He's fine. He'll be fine. There's behavioural strategies. Don't forget that, parents. You have behavioural strategies, as you don't have to use chemicals. That's your choice, and I'm not judging. It's just my choice was no chemicals. Thank you very much. Very strong chemicals for a 3-year-old. I'll do behavioural and dietary changes, because I had a friend at the time, luckily, whose daughter was being diagnosed with ADHD. So we had a lot of lengthy conversations. Aren't other mothers great for that? Very handy. So yes, she taught me a lot, and I was like, interesting, going to take that information on, and it helped. It helped my child in many ways, actually, both of my children, for different reasons. So it was good. Not that really their diet was much of a problem, because before 5 I was strict on what they would eat, and then after that it was like whatever. Even for the first year it was like no sugar. My mum was always trying to give them sugar. I'm like, they're not even 1. No. I just don't think, until a kid asks for sugar, they don't need it, right? They don't need it. I mean, yes, their first birthday and their second birthday, give them cake. Absolutely. But I'm just saying, like, every day. But maybe I'll share some of those moments. But it's very... Gosh, there's a lot of trauma in being autistic. Not for me now, but just when you look back, and not for me now even looking back, like I'm not PTSDing. What I mean is, I wish I could go back and all this knowledge was there, and I didn't have to go through that then. So I could have had a better then. That's all I mean. It's more like grief. I feel like life was a lie for me. A complete lie. I spent all that time doing self-development books, blaming myself for not understanding things, being like others, whatever else, blah, 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 blah. It was exhausting. Because it was exhausting to be human plus function. And I was a type A personality. I know you can't tell because of my disability now, but I was kids, study, work, this, that, I was non-stop, did not sit still, was doing washing until 9 o'clock at night. I was a busy person. There was always housework to be done, and I wouldn't sit down until it was done, or until I was in a lot of pain. One of the two, whichever hit first. it depended on my age group. I started to get worse because 20Q is degenerative. So 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, completely different to each other. Childhood, etc. Although I must admit, I think the beginning of your childhood's hard, gets a little easier, harder again in your adolescence, and I think that's the puberty, like your hormones, and then on top of that, all of your fighting infections and all that. I think there's another bad patch in adolescence. So anyone with 20Q child, watch out for adolescence and health, please. And then like when I had my babies, same thing. My body went through a lot of bad health. During the pregnancies, they were high risk, and then also after the pregnancies, because it knocked my body so much, and it took a longer time to recover. And like I said, I was not a sit down, relax personality. My mother-in-law used to be like, you got ants in your pants, sit still, chill, take a break, Mom. And I used to be like, but I've got to do this, and I've got to do that, and I've got to do this. So I couldn't sit still. And then as I got older, as I got into my 30s, the fatigue hit hard. I feel like I'd gone like almost back to when I first got glandular fever that I couldn't fight due to my immune system with 20Q. And then I was like, why am I so fatigued, man? This sucks, because I was like at the gym every day, sometimes 6 days a week, not just 5 days a week. And it was a way to combat ADHD, okay, because I slept better, but it was affecting my physical health. And I was like, this sucks. This is counterproductive now, but I don't want to let go of it, because to me, and at that point I was also on the weekends enjoying a nice 4K run, was invigorating to me. Like, it just stress release. It really is. And I was raising teenagers at the time, and it's not that it's not their fault. They got to go through their teenage years at some point, but mummy's got to cope too. And it was hard. And so, you know, I used to use that and it also was stressful having a mortgage, to be honest, with me. I wasn't on disability, me having to be supported as a disabled person without being supported at all by the government, paying a mortgage in a boom in WA. It was almost the undoable, but we did it for nearly 8 years. And then the stock market went, and we went, because it was at a time when I should have gone back to work, and my body was like, no, we're going to cause you some fatigue. And then I was accused of being depressed, and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, here we go again. I'm fatigued. It's not depression. Depression is when you don't want to do anything. I want to do a lot of stuff, but I'm very tired. Anyway, 22Q, geneticist and I had a conversation about fatigue. She says it's bad for me. But I didn't have that then to be able to hold that card up and say, fuck off everyone, I'm actually got a fatiguing condition, or conditions, as a geneticist and I discussed, because I begged her for that. I said to her, right, cure with fatigue. She's like, I can't. That's one of the bits of 22Q. That's the hardest bit. Sorry. I was like, you're shitting me. Right, great. That's just wonderful. Anyway, here I am, still fatigued. So, I got blamed for it though. You're depressed. No, I'm not. It's very annoying having those conversations, you know. You know those people that think they can read your mind? And you're like, no, you can't. Please ask me. Because I certainly know anxiety well. And if it's happening, I'll pretty much tell you, because I know it very well. It's part of 22Q, fear and anxiety. And my family know that. They know how much fear and anxiety I had as a kid. It was ridiculous. Well, I didn't think it was that bad. It was just annoying, and it was just part of me. I accept who I am, the good and the bad. but they couldn't accept it. They hated my fear and anxiety, but it is a very big part of 22Q. So anyone with 22Q child, it's part of it. It's part of it. Friends and I'd have the best sleepovers. Yeah, because my household was a free-for-all, that's why. Just could do whatever I wanted. So basically, isn't it funny how I could do whatever I wanted, but I never drunk, smoked, or went with boys. My friends did. They used me to do a bit of that. Anyway, won't go there. But no, I had the best sleepovers. Of most of them were just like us immature ones where we're still doing handstands in the lounge room and discos and making pancakes at midnight and freezing each other's bras because one of them fell asleep first. I never fell asleep, so I was the smart one. It's a sensory nightmare putting on a frozen bra. That's the game. It's the game. I don't make the rules. The first person to fall asleep, you've got to wet the bra, freeze the bra, and then when they wake up, they've got to put it on the next morning. Well, I'll be damned with my sensory issues, especially to cold and wet things and having things half wet, half dry on my body. Not going to happen. Not going to sleep. And I would have coffee before I came. I'm smart. My mum would say to me, you have sleep problems already? You're not having the rest of my coffee, because she used to let me finish her coffees. No, it's afternoon. You're not having it. So I knew that I'd have a better opportunity of staying awake. She didn't know. It's a Milo, Mum. It's delish. It's a coffee. It's funny because my younger son was the same. He was asking for coffee at about 12 years old, and I'm like, dude, you're a child. You're not allowed to have a coffee. And I'm like, hypocrite. I used to drink coffee at about 9. Go. Spider-Man up the hallway. Yeah. Did not help the ADHD. I did a lot of dumb things with ADHD. I'm surprised that I was the one that never got injuries. I mean, I got injured, but I mean like injuries to go to a hospital for. Very lucky. The dumb things I used to do. Some close calls. Many close calls. But yeah, like, because my brother was very serious, you know, like, everything's very serious. What are you doing being silly, child? I'm like, shut up, you're 10. I'm 8. You're a square. He was like that. Real square, you know? That's not the right thing to do. Really? Well, I'm going to fuck shit up because I'm bored. And our parents don't care. They've left us to our own devices. Party. Spider-Man up the hallway. Yes, I made marks. But my mum said I didn't need shoes when I went outside. So I thought, oh, there you go, dirty feet. So the dirty feet on the wall now is a problem. But wearing shoes outside is not a problem? I'm confused. Anyway, I get it now as an adult, but you know what I mean. As a kid, you're like, really? But that was my brother. So I had to be extra because I was bored. You know? Like, we'd be on car trips and I'd be like, and he'd be like, you're so immature. You're so immature. Like, seriously. You are not going to survive in this world. And I'd be like, yeah, that's what kind of brother and sister we. A lot of bit involved in those face pullings, isn't there? Anyway, like, I used to do weird things. But he was very, very, you know, good. I had a bit of Tourette's as a child, of course, right? Tourette's has been made worse by my seizures. And the sleep study broke them. Whatever that thing is in the brain that causes that fucking Tourette's. I tell you what, it's bad. It's bad. They broke it. They broke that little piece of my brain. But when I was a kid, I had it, right? It used to get me into trouble. And I used to get so angry because you don't have control. I'd be like, my brother's got so much control. I hate him, right? Typical brother rivalry. And it's like, gosh, I'd look at him and sometimes I think I even asked him, like, how do you do that? Like, how do you just, Because my uncles would teach me that. They'd go, do this. Bleh. And then it just comes out and I'm like, oh. And they're probably thinking the same thing, thinking, oh my God, I tried. You failed. I know. It was tough. You know, like it was funny. It was funny. I mean, I would say things and it was like, if that phrase existed, you're all thinking it. I just said it. That was me in a nutshell. You're all thinking it. I just said it. That's why they'd laugh the most. Then I'd have to go to my room. I was naughty. But not in the way of like awful naughty. That's what makes me sad. To the way I was treated. And I was punished for even being immature, which wasn't my fault. It's part of 20Q. And I was blamed for that as well. So that was pretty harsh. But that's what it was like back then. If you were immature, even though I shouldn't have been, because when I was at the doctor's, and I remember hearing the people at the hospital say, she's developmentally delayed, and they do lots of things with me. So this is not an unknown. In my day, autism in people like me, a girl, 70s, she's developmentally delayed because she was born too soon. Same thing. So that's how they talk about it. She needs work on her gross motor skills, fine motor skills, socialization and play, all of my education, blah, 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 blah. Autism, basically. Yet they would have very limited supports because I live in Perth, Western Australia. It was like a big country town back then. And it was just other mums working as special education teachers, which I'm not going to lie, they were good for people that were just mums. I think today they're worse. They're actually worse in Australia anyway. I'm not going to speak for other countries, but I'll tell you now, I think they're worse now here because the teachings, it's not that they don't have that intention of being a good support for that child. I mean that the actual education system for what they need to know. As a special needs child, I'm like, that's no. You're actually like making that child feel limited, stupid. I'm never going to make it like the other kids. Like, disgusts me. It disgusts me. And it makes me realize why people with so-called high-functioning children that are autistic, they don't want their kids going to those schools. I'm not surprised because I know that I did schooling in a manipulative way on purpose because I was going to be damned if I was going to be watching my son raised the way I was in that bloody system, and it would have, because it's different now to when he was at school and I was at school even. So it was no different for him. They would have pigeonholed him into a different sector, and he wouldn't have had the friends that he had, and he wouldn't have had the opportunities that he had, and he would have limited himself, and I would have been like, there's nothing wrong with his intelligence. In fact, he is most likely a genius. So I'll be damned if I'm going to limit him with your system. He's fine. Now, he had some tutoring. Boom. Back on top of things. What kid doesn't need a bit of tutoring? So, anyway, that's just my experience with autism in the school system. Be very careful. I'm not going to say that it was easy for him, and I'm sure if he told his own story that it was very hard, but where he's made it, amazing that I'd like him to. I know that there's going to be an autism school by people I'm connected with that's starting up in Perth, and I'm hoping, I wish my son to give some speeches about how amazing he is, because he doesn't know it, but he needs to, about how amazing he is, that he never listened to anyone but himself. Because I tell you what, to get anywhere with autism, when everything is taught to a neurotypical, it means you have to be a genius to work your way around that stupid method. Well, we call it stupid. You guys, I'm sorry, it is probably a method for you that you don't call stupid. It makes sense to you. But for us, we just think that's stupid. We like to do it this way. Thanks. So if you've made it through the school system that's designed for neurotypicals, and you've had to spend hours, days, months, years more than other people to get where you've got, fucking amazing. Keep going. And don't stop proving, because to these young ones, they need to hear our stories and go, that's what I need to do. Because I believe special education belittles and limits children of all types of special needs. So that's why a lot of special needs schools, people try and get the private ones, because they don't do that. They actually focus on the child's strengths. They try and get the child the same needs met, just in a different way, that normal children get. But when you talk public special needs, and it's down to the teachers, because there's some amazing teachers in the public system, but I will say this, they do limit the children in the public system, and that makes me sad, because there is no limit. The limit is made by us, even us with autism. And I'm not going to lie, we might be good at our jobs, but getting along with other colleagues is tough. And that's a separate video altogether, because that's a really big deal. They hate us because we're good at our jobs, mainly. And because we're so honest, and bosses like that. Because we're just not here to play the game. We call it out. We just go, and that was a lie, like Jerry Springer. And that was a lie, like Jerry Springer, you know. So anyway, take your autistic child, even if it's an adult child, to the moon and back. Get them to where they want to go, because they can. There's just no difference. It's just, we got to do a lot more extra work, and it really sucks. But you know what? It makes you better at it. Like I said about me with dancing, I'd learn the new routine and just suck at it, mainly my memory, and then I'd come back the next week, and because I had to work extra hard between that jazz class to the next week's jazz class, I'd make sure that I knew those different parts of the routine, like that, even down to technique in front of my mirror at home. And the teacher would go, wow, okay. Because normally people only focus on, normally we focus on learning it, memorizing it, then technique. I do all at once. So straight away after learning it, I'd go home, and I used to spend 4 hours practicing. And I got rewarded for it. Hard work. But in saying that, there's a lot of professions out there, and dancing is one of them. You can't do it without practice. You just can't. It's something that has to be, you have to live, eat, breathe, and sleep it. Anyway, but that's what autistics do with our special interests. So get them a job in their special interest. That's the first hint I'll give you. Amen. Have a good day. Thanks for listening to this long podcast that's really drawn out, but I think it's got a lot of little good bits in there you can pick out. And Kama answered your question. You're welcome. Happy to, because I think it's an awesome story, and if you want me to like answer questions more specific on it, the West Perth is now at Joondalup something stadium place, so that's where they play a lot, I guess, which is really stupid because West Perth is not there. It used to be in West Perth. Yeah. Anyway, I don't understand it. Don't ask me. But the waffle I love, and I wish that he was in the generation of taking it to the AFL, because imagine if he was treasurer for the West Coast. Oh my God. Oh, I love the West Coast Eagles. Now look, Dockers, respect. I have respect. You're a West Aussie. But then again, they mix the players around. You Eastern States, stop stealing our good players. Okay? Just because you can offer them more money, it's really getting on my nerves now. Okay? So West Coast Eagles coach and West Coast Eagles, Cam, let's give him a talk here. I know you might not have as much moolah, but can you try and pay some of them a bit more to keep them in Western Australia? Because those buggers over there keep stealing our good players, and we end up with the players with injuries and stuff. It's very disappointing. Okay? So if you could fix that, that'd be really cool. I'll be really grateful, because I'm really looking forward to the season. I'm not a winter person really, but I'm looking forward to the season. Okay? When I hear AFL and all the sounds of AFL, it's got a sound to it, right? It's as if it's as if I'm walking in to my grandfather's lounge room, seeing him just watching the TV, waiting for the game. Good memories. Anyway. Don't know. I'm going now because I'm a little bit offline. Bye. I hope you enjoyed my first podcast in a while. It was a bit loopy, but I'm not well. I'm trying not to take any pain relief for as long as I can, because I don't tolerate pain relief very well. But I'm waiting for also doctors to fix me, because, you know, covering up the pain like a band-aid doesn't solve the problem. Anyway, I'm surviving. Just. It's hard being a girl. Even the nurses are like, I feel your UTI pain. I feel you, sister. Anyway, peace out. And you're worthy, guys. And if you have autism shame, I'm sorry. We've never received the acknowledgement we deserve, and I give it to you right now.